That's a call from our guy, Brian Baldinger. And let's bring him on the show because he is the absolute legend. Baldy, how you doing?
Baldy.
I'm good, Zach. It's good to be with you. Good to be with you as we, just a good day to be out in the yard and getting some things planted during the May season here. So nice, relaxing day thus far.
I love it. I love it. And we're entering off-season mode where there's not much of an off-season for the NFL, but now there is an off-season. Baldy, I see you've got a map behind you, and we're going to be taking a trip around the NFL later in this show, talking about if the AFC West is now the best division in the NFL. And so I want to ask you that question. Obviously, there's some strong divisions, but the AFC West has kind of been up there the last few years, and you can make an argument it's as strong now as it's been in a long time.
Well, let's just start with the head coaches in this division, Zach.
Yeah.
Andy Reid has a chance to break Don Shula's record. He needs 47 wins to break the record right now. And then you look at what, Sean Payton has done, obviously, in his tenure in New Orleans and who he's coached under with Parcells, Hall of Fame coaches. And then you look at what, you look what Harbs does everywhere he goes and what he did last year, and now you look what Pete Carroll has done. If in the history of the NFL, is there a better division with proven head coaches than what the AFC West is right now? And then if you combine that with the initial impact that those coaches all made, Sean in the second year, but, you look at what Harbs has done, all chasing Andy Reid. They all go to the playoffs. And now you got to believe that Pete Carroll is going to put his imprint on this team pretty quickly with what they've just done in free agency and the draft. So I think it's the most competitive division, but, I would say that the NFL is more head coaching driven than any other sport league in any sport in the world. And we see that, and that's the difference. And that's why they're worth so much when you get a chance to hire somebody like Sean Payton or Jim Harbaugh or Andy or whatever.
Yeah, it's true, Baldy. And not just head coaches, but quarterbacks too, and this is a division that in the last two offseason has added Bo Nix and Geno Smith on top of it. Is there an offseason move between all these AFC West teams that stands out to you as kind of one of the biggest difference makers in this division, whether that's Geno, Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw, something that they've done out in KC or LA?
Well, the Chiefs won 15 games last year with a revolving door at left tackle. They've been drafting left tackles now for the last 3 years. If Josh Simmons looks like what he did in 2023 before he got hurt this year, and they get that position fixed, is Kansas City going to win, what is it, their 9th or 10th division title in a row? That gives Patrick Mahomes an extra tick to go find another receiver. He had 7 fourth-quarter winning drives, including the one against the Broncos. But, I know they had a chance to kick a field goal to win the game. But, they had 7 game-winning drives. And they had 4 games that were won on the final play of the game. So they're still the team to beat. I think that move is significant. But if Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga, if Hufanga comes back to what he was in San Francisco before the knee injury, they've got, not only do they upgrade the positions, but you think about P.J. Locke or Jaquan McMillan and some of these guys that have been starting. They might have the most depth, on defense of any team in this league right now.
Baldy, this might be a weird question, but when I try to think of how the Broncos defense looks at the rest of the AFC West, I have no idea what the identity of the AFC West is, because on one hand, you have Patrick Mahomes, who's obviously won MVPs, can throw the rock for 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns. And then on the other hand, the Chiefs have kind of relied on a run game a little more in recent years. And then the Raiders just added, obviously, a great running back. The Chargers went with the first-round running back. Is this division, from an offensive perspective, when you're looking at it through Vance Joseph's glasses, is it about stopping the run or stopping the pass this year?
Well, there's been a shift, Zach, around the league to stopping the run. The Eagles ran it, counting the playoffs, they ran it 725 times last year, third most in NFL history.
Wow.
You look at Detroit, you look at some of these teams right now, Baltimore. You go around the league, and they're running it more than they're throwing it. We haven't seen that. Not to this degree. We can see a team here, an outlier team, do it. Now it's a league trend. So that's one thing. But I would say because the head coaching is so good, the emphasis on taking care of the football has vastly improved. And so all these teams do a great job of taking care of the football. Pete Carroll has always stressed that. So I would say if I'm Vance Joseph, how do we create takeaways? How do we create turnovers? You think about, Surtain and the pick six last year, some of the plays that they made defensively. Benito, pick six, fumble recovery, touchdown, whatever. Like those splash plays really made a difference in those games. They're hard to overcome. So I would say the philosophy or what the league, the division-wide trend is taking care of the football and how do you take the ball away? Because when you talk about Kansas City, they have been relying on their defense. The offense has been in the mud for big chunks of the year. Yeah. Defensively, Spags and that group has really carried them the way Vance did last year. And so that Pete Carroll's going to put a good defense out there. And that's the Chargers went from being the worst tackling team in football to the number one defense in football in 1 year, just because of the emphasis on stopping the run, on doing the fundamentals, on tackling. And they did it with 2 rookie corners last year.
Everything we're talking about, Baldy, really makes me think of the Broncos' approach this offseason. And it seems like depth on the defensive line and the defensive backs is so key, right? And I think that's kind of league-wide. I mean, with all the sub-packages, you basically need 5 DBs who are starters. And because you're relying on 5 starters, you better have at least one reliable backup, if not more. And then I think this has been a bigger and bigger trend as of late is defensive line depth is everything right now in the league because of what you just mentioned, right? Stopping the run, trying to create turnovers, being able to stay on teams late in games. Is that something you're noticing too? And what's a bigger emphasis to you from the front offices you're talking to, the NFL people you talking to? Is it more important to have that depth up front or on the back end?
Well, I mean, it always starts up front. And so, Andy Reid took his philosophy that he learned in Philadelphia, that he developed in Philadelphia. Like, you never stop building in the trenches. The Eagles drafted 3 offensive linemen. They only had to replace one. They traded for another one. And then they had 3 guys that they had drafted in years past that hadn't really played yet. They've got 13 offensive linemen that they either drafted or picked up in free agency. Now, Who's the 9 that are going to dress or 8 that are going to dress on game day? Well, competition's a good thing. They're going to figure that out. But I would say, look, just pay attention to the Savion Jones from LSU. Like these kids that come out of LSU and Georgia every year that don't make a lot of noise while they're because they're just rotating players. Mm-hmm. But this guy has size and he plays the game violently. I think he's going to fit in really good with them. But yeah, they kept the starting defensive front. You kept DJ and you kept Zach and so you bring back the defense front and then you add to it. And then, look, I'm sure when they were sitting there, whatever it was, 20 or 21, and Jahdae Barron was still on a board, I'm sure it shocked George Paton. Like, how's the best corner in this whole draft still on the board? And I'm sure they had other players or other needs that they wanted to address with that pick, but they couldn't. As soon as they made the pick, I'm like, that's a value pick. That's the next best guy on the board. We're taking him. We'll figure it out. Whether Jaquan gets on the field, Riley, whoever, we'll figure that all out. Give that problem to Vance. He'll figure that out. We'll get the best guys back there.
Yeah, I love that, Baldy. And we were talking to Alex Singleton earlier in the week, and he said it's the offseason. You got to be shooting for the stars right now. And he said we're shooting to be better than the 2015 Broncos defense, which obviously was the no-fly zone, won Super Bowl 50. And at first it seems crazy, but then you see all the parts and pieces the Broncos have added to this. Who's the X-Factor on this Broncos defense that would allow them to be maybe not as good as that defense, but the best defense in the NFL this year?
Well, that defense did have 2 Hall of Fame pass rushers.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not going to tell Alex that he's talking out of his mind, but, they don't have that in Denver right now. They closed out games over and over again. But regardless, look, if Nick Benito can improve upon what he did last year, if Zach Allen is hitting the quarterback as frequently as he did last year, they take their game that we saw last year and take it up a notch, and then you add Dre Greenlaw, I mean, you can't tell if he's run blitzing or if he just reads things that quickly. Like, he is an amazing player. So, I mean, whether Alex comes back healthy or whatever, I mean, they overcame him last year, but, I mean, Alex is a tackling machine. It might be another no-fly zone, which is good, but that's all tied to pass rush a lot of times.
Yeah.
So, can they be as good? I don't know that they're going to close games out the way they did in 2015, including, Carolina Super Bowl. But at the same time, you got to create your own identity as well. And so they're going to get a great opportunity. They got a great defensive-minded coach. They've got all the versatile parts that you need to be elite. And now, how do you affect Patrick Mahomes? How do you affect these quarterbacks where you're getting them off the field? You're not letting them drive the field to win a game in the last drive. Like, what do you have in your repertoire of calls that you can disrupt these offenses when they just got to go 40, 50 yards to go win a game?
Yeah. Baldy, do you think the Broncos did enough to alleviate some of the issues we saw defending the run last season? Obviously, it all really came to the surface in that wild card round against Buffalo. Getting Alex back, adding Greenlaw, Hufanga, some of the depth they've added up front, Barron. Is that all enough, or do you still maybe have some concerns on that end for Denver?
I might, try adding a big fat guy in the middle.
Yeah.
That always clogs things up. That can just wad it all up. Like, I like to have a big fat guy in the middle that, knows his role and is out there in first and second down. You can't budge him. And Alex runs free to go make every tackle available. But Dre and Hufanga are really good players. They're really good. I mean, they're great tacklers. You'll see Talanoa up there in the box, 8 in the box to, stop Seattle's run game or stop the Chargers' run game. He's very, very crafty up there. The closer to the line of scrimmage he is, he has done a good job in the back end too. But I would say that's the only thing that I think the defense might be lacking right now. It's just that guy that eats double teams like cheeseburgers,
A Baldy, final one for you here, and this isn't about a big fat guy, but it's about someone you talked about earlier, Nick Bonito. Yesterday, DeMarcus Ware on the Kay Adams Show said Nick Bonito reminds him of a combination of Shaq Barrett and Von Miller. And speaking of high bars to put for a guy, that is just a wild comparison, but it reminded me that, okay, the draft's over. Now the Broncos are going to start talking to some of their own guys about extensions, and Nick Bonito is at the top of that list, a guy coming off a very impressive season. If you're the Broncos, brass, are you giving him a $25 million a year extension now? Are you waiting to see what he does the first half of this season, or do you want to see it for an entire other season and then potentially risk it being, $30, $35, $40 million?
If you so I don't know how Nick is driven. I mean, I don't really know him. So the Eagles have done a great job of getting ahead of the cap with players like Cam Jurgens started 1 year for J.C. Kelsey this year, played very well. They love him, and they extended him. If Nick is that type of guy, complete team guy, all about the team, all about getting better, all about improving, if that's what he is, and giving him $25 million or whatever it is it going to change the guy or change his work habits or anything else? If you know that about the guy, the way he's wired, give it to him now.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense. Really appreciate you, Baldy. You're always bringing a lot of sense to this show. Love catching up with you, and enjoy hopefully some time in the ocean this coming weekend.
I'm playing Farmer Joe this weekend, Jack, but I'll be in the ocean next weekend.
Okay, good. I mean, you're on land, you're in water.
I'll give you the tail of the tape of what happened.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Baldy. Enjoy the weekend, and thanks for being on with us.
You got it, guys. See you, man.